under sad circumstances. An absolute icon of the world of sports broadcasting was Moty.
Absolute icon, and it's only a few days after we lost Dickie Davis towards the end of last week. And when it came to commentators, Moty, and I knew him really well, was just the best. And I think everybody's got memories of some of those great commentaries. Personally, if I think back of Spurs back in '81, the famous Ricky Villa goal. There was the Wimbledon FA Cup final when they beat Liverpool, when he said the crazy gang have beaten the Culture Club back in '88. But the great thing about Moty is that he always said that he never planned anything. You often get commentators these days, you can hear it scripted. Whereas Moty always went in with a card with every player, a little fact about them, and he hand wrote these things and spent ages over them before every commentary. But everything else always came off the tip of the tongue. And he was an absolute master of his craft. And I think we'll all miss him very well.
I was lucky to meet him a couple of times. We were both actually working for ITV Sport at the time, and I was a newbie and didn't know what I was doing. You might say not much has changed in 20 years, right? But he was really kind. He was really helpful, and he managed to be sort of mentoring without being patronising, which is not easy to do. He was a really good bloke.
He was, yeah, and you know what? You hit the nail on the head, because I've worked with him a lot over the last 10 years. And the last time I saw him is that we had a lunch. There was a corporate lunch that we did in the City of London. And he was always so nice and always very complimentary about everything I ever did. And he was always happy to work with me and very easy to work with. I mean, a little eccentric, don't get me wrong. He was always a little eccentric, was John. But it was always a little off-putting, because you could hear, obviously, when you're speaking to him, and you hear this voice coming straight at you, and you're thinking, it kind of sounds like John Motson, but it is. It's coming from the man that I'm speaking to. And one of the fondest memories I have, I think, after we'd done the lunch, and it was for the World Cup, and this was back in November, and we sat down, and he always liked to have a scotch afterwards, and we sat down and had a drink, and he said, "You know what, Paul, this is what I really like." And I said, "Well, what's that?" And he said, "You know what, just sitting down, having a drink, talking about football with friends." And that was probably the last time I saw him. I saw him briefly at Spurs a couple of weeks ago, but the last real conversation we had, and what a way to go. But what a legend, just the best there was. And there was always that rivalry as well with Barry Davis. And he'd always admit to that, because Barry Davis, of course, at the BBC, there was a friendly rivalry between them that went on right up until when they retired. But for me, Moty was the king. He was